Today we're going to be making a sandwich that is keto approved, which is going to be a tuna sandwich on a crepini egg and cauliflower wrap that's got only 30 calories in it and 0 net carbs. We're going to be adding in cheddar cheese, mayonnaise, some lettuce, celery, olives, and we'll serve our little red peppers on the side for crunch. So we'll be back in just a second. The first thing we're going to do, because the crepini wrap is really thin, and I'll show you that in just a moment, is we're going to go ahead and grate the cheese. So instead of putting it in slices or chunks, we're going to do grated. And so here you have it, our grated cheese, all set up and ready to go. By the way, I want to mention that I do wear a cut glove whenever I grate or work with any type of shredding mechanism. It's just a lot safer. I have had my hands cut before and with a mandolin, and I never want to go through that again. And the reason that we grated the cheese was, look how thin this crepini, I mean, it really is just like a crepe kind of consistency. So when we roll it, it's real easy for things to poke through. So we need to make sure we mince everything finely and that we grate as our cheese instead of putting it in whole. Next up, let's get that tuna into a bowl. And I know it never looks so pretty when you take it out of the can. And I do like to use the albacore all white tuna if you don't have access to fresh. And I think the easiest thing to do is just kind of break it up with a fork a little bit until you have it the consistency that you want it. Certainly put it through the food processor, but we're not going to go to all that trouble for a sandwich. So you can see here, we've mashed our tuna up, just kind of broken it all apart. Next step is, let's get some of our other ingredients, like our olives and our celery, cut up. And you can always add just a little bit of lemon juice, by the way. If you're going to be eating it later, I don't recommend that. But if you're eating it today, the lemon juice is nice in it. The reason I don't like to put it in later is that I find that the citrus kind of cooks up the tuna a little bit, so you don't want to do that. The other thing you could do is you could put in a little bit of lemon zest. That's also good in this, but again, only if you're going to be eating it the same day. Next up, we're going to cut up the celery, and we need to mince it and make it as fine as we possibly can. We used about half the stalk of celery. Again, this is a crepini wrap. We do not want to get it too crunchy inside our tuna, or it will make too many holes in the crepini wrap. Let's go ahead and get that added right in. If you like onion, you could put onion in here. That would be fantastic as well. Just make sure that if you're adding the onion, that you are going to chop it finely like the celery. Next up, we're going to put a little green olive in here. So I'm going to go ahead and chop those up finely as well. All right, let's go ahead and get those chopped olives in. I only used 2 of them. I felt like there was more than enough in there for flavor. I don't want to add too much olive and then have it overpower the dish. All right, next let's get our mayonnaise in there. Especially because we didn't add any onion, I'm going to put in a little bit of onion salt. Probably about, I would say, 1/4 teaspoon. And I like the taste of dill, but if you don't, you can omit it. But I like to put in a little bit of dill. Again, about 1/8 teaspoon, not too much. Look how pretty that looks, just like that though. Next up, we just need to mix this all together. And by the way, in case you're wondering, that was 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. This is where we would go ahead and add in our salt and our pepper to taste. So we have to taste first and see where we are. Let's go in here and get a little taste. I think it's good with salt. I think the olives did the trick with the salt. So we're just going to go ahead and add a little black pepper. So I want to show you something here. I'm using the Boston Bib lettuce, and the reason is that it's the softest one for the wrap, because these crepini wraps are so paper thin. But see, even the ends here will cause a problem for us. So we're going to take the ends right off of our lettuce and not even use those because they will pop right through that wrap. All right, as you can see, I even removed some of the spines from the lettuce because I was concerned about them. So like even this little piece here, that's a spine. So we went ahead and took all of these out. Now we can go ahead and add in our tuna. In case you're wondering, I used about 3/4 of that can of tuna in my sandwich. Now, I can afford to do that because the crepini wrap is so low. If you were putting this on a regular bread, you'd want to limit yourself, wouldn't you? All right, let's go ahead and get that cheese on. A good amount of that cheese, because this is keto approved, you can have it. The next thing left is just to go ahead and roll this wrap up. So the way I'm going to roll this wrap is like a burrito. I'm going to fold it this way. And then I'm going to fold it this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll from this side over. You got to be careful not to roll too tight, because I want to show you, even here, it started to burst a little bit when I pulled a little bit harder on that crepini wrap. But for the most part, it stayed together very nicely. Almost looks like a little egg roll, but it's much bigger than an egg roll. I'm trying to give you some perspective with the peppers so that you can kind of see what size that is. All right, next up, all we have to do is cut that open. And there you have it. Our tuna with cheddar on a crepini wrap, served with lettuce, olives, celery, and then obviously those red peppers for the crunch. Looks fantastic. It's going to taste great.